Kartavirya Arjuna was the king of the regions surrounding the ashram of Maharishi Jamadagni. He ruled from the kingdom's capital of Mahishmati. Kartavirya Arjuna was a disciple of Guru Dattatreya, who is considered to be another manifestation of Mahavishnu. Interestingly, Guru Dattatreya was also Ramabadra's guru. Kartavirya Arjuna did severe penance and observed such austerity that Guru Dattatreya was pleased. He manifested in front of his disciple and said to him, "I am pleased with your devotion. Ask for some boons and they will be given to you." Arjuna bowed before his guru and said, "Give me the power to protect my subjects. Know the secret to anyone's heart. Become invincible. Be the owner of 1,000 arms. Own so much wealth that the more I give, the more I become rich, and finally die at the hands of a great person after a long reign." The Guru was happy at the boons that were asked of him and immediately replied, "So it shall be, my son." For many eons, Arjuna ruled over the kingdom and his power and fame grew. While his intrinsic nature was dharmic, prolonged periods of power meant that he began to become drunk with his own power and invincibility. Slowly, the vices began to show and he began to be feared by everyone. One day, Arjuna was on a hunting expedition in the forests of his kingdom near Rishi Jamadagni's ashram. Since he was close to their ashram, Arjuna decided to pay them a visit. He rode to their ashram with his entourage and reached there in time for lunch. The ashram was set in a beautiful clearing in the jungle, and even as one approached it, one could smell the fragrance of beautiful flowers and delicious dishes. One could also smell the fragrant fumes from the various homas that the rishi had carried out. One could also hear the mooing of cows and crowing of poultry and the happy noises of cats and birds. Arjuna couldn't wait to meet the couple. Jamadagni saw Arjuna's group approach the ashram from afar. He called out to Renuka, "Priye, I think we are going to have guests for lunch today." Renuka replied, "Oh, is that so? Let me see who it might be." She strained her eyes, and as the dust raked up by the approaching group settled, she could see the flag of Kartavirya Arjuna's kingdom flying proudly from the approaching chariot. She said, "Swami, I think the monarch himself is coming to see us. Let me hasten and prepare a meal fit for him." And she retreated to the cow Kamadhenu to help her prepare a feast for the approaching guests. When Arjuna reached the ashram, he alighted from his chariot and walked up to where Jamadagni and Renuka were there waiting to receive him. "Pranams to both of you," he said as he bowed to the couple. The couple bowed back in return and welcomed Arjuna warmly to their abode. The king and his men were guided to the stream where they washed the dust off their hands and feet and then seated for lunch. Choicest dishes of every type with flavors straddling all the six tastes, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, spicy, and flat tasting, were served with great love by Renuka and the Maharshi. Arjuna asked them as they were being served, "Mother, where are your sons? I didn't meet them." Renuka responded, "Sire, they've all gone into the forest on some errands that we had entrusted to them. They'll be back only after the tasks are completed." Arjuna said, "Oh, that is a shame. I thought I would be able to meet them. Anyway, let's leave it for the next time." The couple served the troop and they all ate heartily. At the end of a lavish and sumptuous meal, Arjuna gently belched and said, "Mother, what a lovely feast that was." He continued, "However, I am intrigued. We came without prior warning. There was hardly any time for you to get things ready for us. Neither did you know how many of us were going to be there for lunch. How did you manage to get this feast ready?" Renuka looked at Jamadagni and smiled. "Sire, we are blessed with a special cow. Her name is Kamadhenu, and she is our savior whenever people come unannounced for a meal. She never let us down, and guests never leave our abode dissatisfied. We are very fortunate, and we thank our Devatas for it." Jamadagni, standing by her side, simply nodded in agreement. Arjuna asked, Mother, can I see this cow? Both Jamadagni and Renuka replied in unison, Of course. Jamadagni led Arjuna to the pen where his cattle were tethered. Arjuna spotted Kamadhenu even before Jamadagni pointed out to him. Isn't that her? He asked, pointing to a lily-white, doe-eyed beauty of a cow standing quietly in the pen while her calf was feeding off her milk. Jamadagni nodded with a quiet and happy smile. Arjuna approached Kamadhenu to caress her, but Kamadhenu instinctively recoiled. This enraged Arjuna, who tried to touch the cow again. Kamadhenu retreated from his touch again, and Arjuna's face turned red with anger. Furious and seething, Arjuna asked his men to untie both the cow and her calf and take it to their camp. He decided he was going to take them away from the saintly couple. Jamadagni and Renuka pleaded with him in vain. Arjuna shook them away, and herding the cow and calf in his entourage, he rode away in his chariot without as much as a look back at the grieving couple. Ramabadra returns home. Jamadagni and his wife collapse to the ground, weeping and crying for their dear cow Kamadhenu. They lay in the mud till sundown when the boys returned. Ramabhadra rushed to his parents screaming, Ma, Pitashri, what is wrong? Why are you lying like this on the ground? Why have the lamps not been lit? It's already dusk and time for the evening prayers. Renuka lifted her teary face to him and said, Vats, we lost her. We lost her. Ramabhadra shook her and demanded, What are you talking about? Tell me clearly, what has happened? Who did we lose? Renuka narrated whatever had happened that day, and with every passing minute, Ramabhadra's rage was rising. What happens next? We will know that in the next episode.